lovelies, it's Miss Lady Lace here on my Pinup Glamour channel and Pinup Glamour podcast, and today I have for you a bit more of a personal topic, sharing some exciting news that we've been working on for a while and some changes that are going to be happening. It's a little bit different to my usual videos, so I totally understand if you don't tune in for this one, but I just thought I'd share some of the things going on in my life. If you're a long-time glamorous friend, welcome back, and if you're new here, I share tips and tutorials on pinup, burlesque and the vintage lifestyle, so if this is something that interests you, be sure to subscribe. So I've already done big posts all over social media, but if you missed it, I am actually going to be having a baby in March of next year. We're so excited. I thought I'd take today to kind of share our journey, some changes in me and my body, things that are going to be happening in the future, and also some of the things we've changed around our house. I'll probably make more videos of this in the future with little baby updates, but I thought it would be fun to share this with all of you, and also I'll have this video as a memory of all of this. I know some of you may be thinking that I had originally said on this channel that I hadn't planned on starting a family or anything like that, but we went through some pretty big changes last year that kind of made me reevaluate my life. So firstly, I turned 30 and I got a new puppy, and there was just so much love in this little being. He's currently sleeping quietly on the couch, so I'll post a little video of him here now. But it was so nice having a teeny little creature that I could care for, and it made me kind of start thinking about some things in life that maybe I could love and care for. But around this time we also experienced a lot of loss. We had 4 family members pass away in about a 3-month span. And going to all those funerals and going through all those things kind of made me really evaluate what I wanted out of life beyond the next short-term period. I'm very much looking at what I can immediately achieve. I'd not thought so far into the future. Funerals look at a person's life in such a long-term span. And it got me thinking, where do I want to be in 5, 10, 20 years? Who do I want around me? And it brought up so many emotions for me. I wasn't really sure how to process it all. I very much kept a lot of it to myself. I actually listened to a book called The Baby Decision. I'll link that below. I listened to it on Audible. It was a really great neutral perspective book, which gave me the tools to kind of really think about what I wanted. I wanted to kind of evaluate my own opinion before I shared it with other people. It was actually around this time last year, maybe a little bit earlier, that I kind of started thinking about this and started discussing it with Matthew after I made my decision. Once we discussed that a little bit more, we did have a bit of a delay. I had a serology test done, which tests what you're immune to, and I needed to catch up on a couple vaccines that I was no longer showing immunity for. So we had a 3-month wait, which felt like a lifetime before we could start the process of family planning. But it was a really good opportunity to do lots of research, look at fertility, get some testing done, and give us time to really evaluate our decision and how we wanted to move forward. This brings us to the start of 2023, and I thought, bam, I'm just gonna get pregnant. That's how it works. I've had a few friends where that has happened, so I thought this will be nice and easy. I've done so much research, I know all the things, and it didn't happen straight away. It took 6 months for us to fall pregnant, which is well within the normal range. But as the months went on, it got a little bit more stressful, worrying if something was wrong, worrying if this wasn't for us, and some other stuff popped up in between. But finally I got a positive test in, I think it was July. I'll insert a little picture of all my tests here. We weren't expecting the positive that month. I did a million tests and kept testing to make sure it was real. Beyond some tender breasts, there weren't any obvious symptoms that I noticed straight away, so it really did catch me out of the blue. Early pregnancy can be very terrifying, so we went for all our tests and scans. And at our first scan, it looked like we were maybe going to get some bad news. We could see on the ultrasound a gestational sac and a yolk sac, but no fetal pole at that point. So no detectable heartbeat, and we were told it could go either way at this point. And then we had to wait 2 weeks to find out what was going to happen. So that was a really stressful time. It was before we publicly announced the pregnancy, and it's hard because it's not uncommon to have this happen, but it's also not super common, so there weren't too many people that I could connect with on this, even forums online. It is a smaller portion of people who experience this. It was a really early ultrasound at 6 weeks, so it can happen, but we were very happy at 8 weeks to see a little baby, a little heartbeat. It looked like a tiny bean at that point, but it was so exciting to see something actually there. Symptom-wise, in the first trimester, I had a few usual pregnancy symptoms, but minimal nausea, and I wouldn't even really class it as morning sickness, what I experienced. I'm so fortunate. I'm now at 16 weeks and I have not vomited once, so I'm so happy about that. I was very stressed that I was going to have a rough time with pregnancy, but so far, touch wood, it has all gone really well. I am super hungry all the time now, constantly needing to pee, all those usual things that are very fun. But it's so nice to finally have a little bit of a belly now. I'm really excited to see my body change in many different ways. I've had relatively similar body type for most of my life because I'm quite athletic, and I've been quite fortunate in that way, but it's really exciting to be growing a human. We did have a sex reveal with my family recently. We found out we are having a little boy, which surprises most people, but I was hoping for a little boy. And either way, he's going to be wearing all the colors, including lots of baby pink, so we can match together. For my future plans, I'm going to continue obviously creating here on YouTube. I have had a little bit of a break, and part of that is kind of connected to being pregnant. I did have really bad fatigue in the first trimester, and I only had a few functional hours in the day, and YouTube just did lapse a little bit, as well as some other health things that popped up not related to pregnancy. It kind of just put me behind, but I'm definitely going to continue. I'm trying to work on creating multiple videos every week, and that way I'll hopefully have a stockpile for when I get a little bit too tired, a bit too big to be working on that sort of stuff. So hopefully I'll be able to create enough that I can post during the birth and the newborn stage and keep things flowing here on YouTube. Now I've already had a lot of people asking, and I've heard lots of chatter among some of my pinup and burlesque friends, but I'm pretty much continuing to do my work as per usual until the end of the year. So I'll be doing all my usual shows and productions during this time. In the new year, I'll be doing a few fringe spots, and then I'll probably take a few months off for maternity leave. When I will be back to performing will really depend on my recovery. I will still be producing work during this time, creating shows, but I'm not sure when my body will be ready to get back to performing. So I'll play that a little bit more by ear depending how everything goes. But I'll be sharing a lot of my journey on social media as well. I am due in March of next year. On social media, I'm sharing more just the overall month rather than a specific date, as I know once that date comes near or passes, I'm going to be getting a lot of messages. But the birth part is definitely one of the scarier aspects of having a baby. As silly as it sounds, I know it needs to happen to have the baby, but it's definitely very terrifying. I'm still researching a lot about actually giving birth, so what I plan on doing is kind of still up in the air, and I'll probably create a few different birth plan options for myself, as I very much want to go with the flow of what is necessary for me, how I'm feeling, and what's medically necessary as well. Since doing more research and reading about this, it's definitely changed my perspective on a lot of things that I thought about. I'm now going to talk a little bit about changes in myself and around the home, because I have a few people asking, will I stop doing pinup and burlesque? Am I changing the styling of my house with all this going on? And there are some changes. Firstly, my wardrobe. I have already lost access to about half my dresses. They're already in a box up in the roof. As you can see, I still have a plentiful supply of dresses that I'm fitting into, but definitely the waist is one of the things that has started to expand out. So a lot of my teeny true vintage dresses have gone into a box and saving for a later point if and when I do fit back into them. Overall, I'm not going to be changing my vintage style. I imagine in the third trimester, I'm just going to be wearing whatever is comfortable, but I still plan on adding a bit of vintage flair to that. So in the front of pinup and burlesque, nothing will be changing, just a bit of a break from performing when it's no longer feasible. In our house though, there will be lots of changes happening. Still a lot of vintage inspiration, but there are many adaptations we already started making. I started clearing out wardrobes like a year ago in preparation. Before I kind of found out the delay and how long it would actually take, I already got a head start on getting things ready. But obviously now there is something to actually plan about. I have gone into full steam mode of getting things ready. I'm trying to get as much done as possible, especially in the next trimester before I hit the third trimester, as I'm currently in the second. I want to get as much done as possible so there's less to stress about at the end. Around the house though, we have started clearing some space. So even in this room, there used to be some cabinets along here, and I kind of had a sewing table up against the back door there. we've cleared that space out, as this will likely be where some baby stuff goes. One of the display cabinets that was just behind me is now in my office. But one of the big changes is definitely in the kitchen. We definitely needed more storage, both fridge and pantry. So I kind of redesigned that space. Where my kitchenette used to be, we've moved that outside, which is now a bit more of a gardening station. I didn't want to get rid of it because I love this kitchenette so much. But we've put in some pantry cupboards and a new fridge at the back here. I've decorated along the top to still keep that within my style, but we definitely needed more of a functional kitchen rather than just a pretty kitchen. In my office, I sold my Chase lounge. It was beautiful and I loved it. It was such a lovely piece to have, but it just wasn't that functional, and I'd rather keep all these display items rather than keep a chair that only occasionally sat down in and took up so much room. In the bedroom, we're going to be getting rid of this cupboard, and we're going to be taking these suits in Matthew's suit room and popping them along this wall here. This room will then become the baby room. We haven't really started on that. Beyond buying a vintage pram, which looks just so beautiful, but doesn't really fit in many cars. It may just be for walking around the neighborhood. We haven't bought too much baby stuff. We're still looking at our options for that. But another big project we did get completed was we wanted to get our outdoor room sorted. This was just a shed looking space before, but we've had gyprock, electrician work and all that done in here. So now we have a beautiful outdoor room to go with our patio. So yeah, there's been lots going on, lots to do with some of the renovations, especially the outdoor room. All that kind of came in the house and I couldn't film in that space, so even once I got over that fatigue, there was just so much going on. It's a crazy time, it's an exciting time, and I'm super excited for the future. This has already been an incredibly joyous and happy experience to be going through, so I'm so excited to share more of it with you here on YouTube. I'd love to know if you have any product recommendations, any tips or tricks for babies, newborns and pregnancy. Anything you'd like to share on this topic would be super lovely to hear. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for allowing me to share my story with all of you. And I'm so excited to be creating more for you on YouTube, both in this realm, but also pinup, burlesque, and all our usual topics. I'm sharing a lot about my pregnancy on social media, so if you want to follow for more regular updates, simply follow @MissLadyLace and be sure to drop me a message so I can follow you back soon. And I'll be seeing you all in my next video. Stay glamorous!